saying. What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
Hello, weirdos out there in Weirdo Land, or should I say, hello, Earthlings listening to us. Denny's Quick, give us your best alien/robot voice.
We come in peace, beep, 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 beep.
Beckett, go.
I can't do it.
Oh,
Beckett, we got a momentum.
You know what almost came out as vampire?
that would have been good.
I want to come in peace.
That's very dirty, Denny's.
I want to. Yeah, you're right. They shouldn't be requesting that, I guess.
I was thinking, what's that old cartoon character? Is it Marvin? Marvin the Martian?
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to channel that, but it didn't come out.
It's okay. Vicky, do you remember a Marvin the Martian? And can you believe how old that reference is?
Didn't he make an appearance first on the Jetsons? Is that the one?
So are you talking the little green guy, or
Yeah.
are you talking the Marvin the Martian from Looney Tunes, right? He was
The guy that wore the helmet.
Yeah, he's from Looney Tunes.
Gotcha.
Right?
Who's the one that made am I confused?
Vicky, I always hated the Jetsons. I thought that was such a weak-ass show and a weak-ass theme. Can I get an amen, or am I in my own world?
The Jetsons, I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I wish I could rally with you, man. I do.
I hear you.
It was during the space age. It was Star Trek, Star Wars, Mork and Mindy. Like, that was the theme, right? And it was the
Great
space race
Gazo.
with Russia and all the Sputnik and all that stuff.
I have been going on the biggest Ancient Aliens run. Have you guys ever seen that show, Ancient Aliens? I really think you guys should start watching that.
I've dabbled.
Just to... It's not to sway you. It's just to kind of get more in tune with the stories that are out there. There's a lot of odd stories, so many UFO stories just in our own country from the 40s on that have credibility. I sent Kevin an idea for a topic. It was news stories that you can't believe people don't talk about anymore. And back in the year eludes me, but it's roughly 47 to 52. It's the UFO age.
All right.
I think it's 52, where we had UFOs over our capital for a weekend. 48 hours, they were hovering over Washington, D.C.
And people were walking around looking at them?
The military had to come out and make a statement going, yes, there were these weird objects above us. We don't know what they were, and case closed. And nobody talks about that. That's pretty significant to me.
Why isn't that more commonly brought up then? Especially when arguments about UFOs. I feel like they always refer to just the Area 51.
They had pictures.
Roswell.
They had pictures back then.
Guys, there's a press conference of the military. He's talking about how we don't know what they were. They were here. They came into the area the weekend before. Massive sightings all over. Then they come back the weekend after, and they're hovering over our nation's capital, where they didn't know what the hell is going on there.
Right.
Vicky, your thoughts on that? You being an educator, why is that story not taught in our schools? Because it is a real story. It really happened.
It's a real story, but I mean, traditionally we stay away from anything that might be air quote paranormal or things that can't be explained. So it was never an ironically, when I taught third grade, our social studies curriculum was Egypt. And I thought that was a little deep for third graders, but that was literally the curriculum. We had to teach them all about Egypt.
Meaning just the
culture, everything about, and well, I turned it fun, so we made pyramids out of little sugar cubes.
Well,
That's
we know
cool.
Vicky's going to turn it fun.
Oh, yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That was my observation for college.
You'd use a papyrus, right?
Walk
and write
like
on
an
it.
Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Walk like an Egyptian. Talk about the Nile.
And you speak of we tend to stay away from the paranormal or the unexplained when it comes to the school system. But even on a historic level, take out the paranormal, the fact that the military had to make a statement at a podium on doing a press conference, that really did happen. That's historic. You could at least bring that up. The fact that why do we not talk about that?
Well, probably because a lot of teachers, I didn't hear about it until today, sitting here. So do you think the government, like when they had the power to control any kind of media, do you think that they kept retracting anybody that tried to talk about it? Do you think they tried to silence people and that's why it didn't become so mainstream than we found out about it?
Back then, I do think that. I think even we talk about just how the culture's changed with sex alone. Back then, you couldn't talk about anything with sex. Just on that small primitive level of, human urges, we've gotten way advanced. But there was things you had to hide back then. People being ridiculed, your character was so I'm not saying your character is not important these days, but I mean, I don't know. With TikTok, I don't know if it is. Your character was everything. And if you were dubbed a Looney Tune, I see Martians, people wouldn't go to your business. It was that kind of way
it
of
would
life.
ruin all your credibility in the town. Plus, towns were small then, too. A lot of people didn't travel a lot in between them, so you'd grow up with generations of the same families.
Well, it's also sometimes stories get buried based what else is going on in the world, right? And if that was the ramp up to World War II, and you got a crazy guy in Germany acting the fool, right? Like, then you're like, stuff gets buried. And I'm not saying that's all of it, but I'm saying that could be a part of it too.
Yeah. Vicky, the government knows we have aliens. They're not saying anything. Thoughts?
I could believe that because, I've stated before, I don't think the government's honest and they could totally have knowledge of this stuff.
I always like to do where are we at with our beliefs? Lizard people. I know when we first started this podcast, nobody believed in lizard people. A lot of lizard people stuff coming out these days where it supports lizard people, kind of like a flat earth kind of a thing, but it's a community growing, Beckett. Where are you at with lizard people?
Same place day one.
2023, nothing's changed.
I almost have animosity to it.
Now you're turned against me.
Sweet Denny's.
I'm not into the reptilian race people, unfortunately.
No.
Vicky. Okay. Ponton. Yeah. I'm going to send you guys a link, though. It's a link that, no, it doesn't say there's lizard people. And I'm not over here being pro-lizard person. But it's one of those stories where you go, okay, I get why some people believe it now.
I've watched some videos where they try to convince you to the lizard people concept, and they show celebrity or a politician, and they show moments where they are exposing themselves momentarily. I don't know, how come extreme conspiracy theorists, meaning you're not on the fringe stuff, you're getting deep into the conspiracies, tend to always go lizard people? That becomes meta for them. It's weird.
Well, is it possible they go there because there's a reason to go there?
Well, does everything always lead back to reptilians controlling humans? I mean, it feels like that was where it always gets reduced down to. Okay,
let me just throw this out at you. We believe that there wasn't any other species on the planet like a being type, like a human before humans. We know we have the cave people and all that whole story. Anything before that? Or it's always been just dinos and crazy shit?
I think there was a long time they thought, because they found large bones, they thought it was like thigh bones and stuff of giants. But then it turns out they found out it was mammoths, So I'm just thinking the bones, how deep do we go in the Earth's core? How deep do we dig down to where we could find things past dinosaurs, which is what we found so far.
When we first found dinosaurs, we didn't know what we were looking at.
They didn't.
We had no idea. We had no idea that dinosaurs even existed. I'd be interested to know what year that was, but we had no idea.
Okay, where are we at with dinosaur belief? I'm going to go first, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I think there's evidence of the dinosaurs.
Jurassic Park did it for me.
I mean, I love that movie. I watched it not that long ago. Get inspiration for the Dinosaur Garden. That movie holds up, dog.
So dinosaurs are always cool, but that movie made dinosaurs sexy and appealing because everybody changed once they saw the Velociraptors and the T-Rex, I think everybody became humongous dinosaurs.
It brought the sex in the T-Rex. Am I right?
It did.
Where are we at with ghosts? We got a few skeptics, as they say in the business. Denny's, where are you at? Do you believe now, with all the stuff we've done with Vicky, the investigating, my stories, my tales, am I just a rat-faced liar?
So I don't think that.
Thank you, my sweet Denny.
So there was a little bit of hesitation, though, the way that sentence came out.
I do think you're a dick, but a rat-faced liar, no.
No, it's more so that I still As far as my personal evidence goes with ghosts, I think it's less inclined there be individuals and more inclined that a thing of energy happens in that area. So a person dies and leaves behind their essence or whatever, if they choose to do so. I guess if enough concentrates into an area, I feel like activity could happen. Interference with electronics, interference with audio, stuff like that. I feel like that could happen. That's something that I think has happened, been caught on footage. There's been inexplainable footage, right? But as far as individual ghosts staying and having their personality and their essence of existence prior to dying, I just haven't seen any evidence of that.
Well, one of the Ask Vicky questions was, Jaybird, you and Denny's are so tight. You guys are, the dirty hippies. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, to go, Denny's doesn't believe in ghosts. And then you're always talking about ghosts. Does Denny's think you're a rat-faced liar? And again, I'm paraphrasing that term.
So it doesn't change my opinion on anything because I personally just haven't.
But I guess what they said is, why do you think Jason thinks that? Why is Jason seeing ghosts?
Well, so if you've had an experience where you've had an individual or a personality driven ghost, I guess, a personality-driven ghost, a person who existed and their essence still is left whole as they were before they died. If you've had that experience or whatever you conceptualize as that experience, then you're more inclined to believe that. I've just never seen anything of that nature. Now, I've seen weird things happen. I've seen paintings move and stuff of that nature, but is that coincidence? Is that energy in the area more active because there's been... the place I stayed at was next to a cemetery where a lot of people were. It was in Savannah, Georgia, and that place is known to be haunted, and the place where you stay. So that place felt... There was I could go into that place and physically feel something there. I couldn't really see anything there, but I could feel that there must be some sort of heavy energy or some sort of something there that's not perceived visually, So that tends to make me think that there must be something.
Yeah, I think.
Why else would you feel that? But I just haven't seen evidence of a person. A ghost of a person, a loved one, a past person.
Yeah, I think it's all probably perspective too, and semantics, Vicky. You don't always have to see Casper the Ghost juggling cakes in the kitchen. You can have a feeling, an intuition, almost like kind of when you know someone's watching you, or
exactly
when someone shady comes up to you, it's off.
The energy. The one thing I would tend to disagree, and I would say is evidence. That Denny's is looking for, if I am in an investigation and I've already debunked every possible thing and I have someone's voice on my recorder that clearly has the essence of that person, I have recorded loved ones who have deceased, their voices on my recorder that the person was able to identify. And it wasn't just the hopeful person who wanted to hear from their father. Their friend was sitting there that knew that person's father growing up, and immediately when that voice came across, I said, that's her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's definitely her dad. So to me, that's proof that this is a person. This
an actual
is
imprint.
Yes.
I mean, that's very compelling. It absolutely is. Because, think about it. I mean, visually, I haven't seen what, movies portray as the I guess, you're kind of iridescent or you float or whatever. I haven't seen anything of that nature. But it is interesting to think about an audio cue from a ghost imprinting. Maybe not a physical, but maybe the energy captures, I guess, the essence of a person's personality, and maybe they say key phrases or recognizable names. I mean, maybe that could imprint. I mean, does that mean they actually still exist here, or does that mean a collection of energy has just echoed something or echoed a memory of that area?
Well, in readings, I've been shown that we are the same person here as we are on the other side. The only difference is that we don't have our body anymore. Mm-hmm. And we still come back in visitation. Some of us may remain here as a haunt, which means we never crossed over to the other side. But in all these years, I've seen multiple pieces of evidence that, these people are here. They just don't have a body.
One of the questions for Ask Vicky, and we have a bunch, so if you sent them, I apologize if we don't get to them. Some of them are kind of long and lengthy. It's kind of hard to maneuver. But what makes up a demon? Where does that even come from? The elements of, you make a cake, all the ingredients. What makes up something so evil? Where does it come from? How does it exist? What's the origin?
Now, if you're going from a religious standpoint, when Lucifer was dispelled from heaven, him and his legion fell to earth. It doesn't specify how many made up that group. So if you're going from biblical, this is, if you believe in God, many people believe you have to believe in the devil because all of that stuff, the good, evil, balances. One of the differences is he didn't fall to hell. Hell is not actually in the Bible. He fell to earth. So if Lucifer and his minions, for lack of another term, are walking around us, they never exist as a living person. They were not a living, breathing person. Just like angels have never been living, breathing human beings. They were created by the Creator and never walked this earth in human form. Same with a demon, never walked in human form. They try to fool people and will pretend, but they were never living creatures.
How often do you come across an angel? Do you ever see this?
I have not seen any one that, to me, I looked at them either physically or mentally looked and said, oh, wow, that's an angel.
Do we all have an angel? Do you believe that or no?
I believe we have spirit guides. I believe more in spirit guides. Maybe my definition of a spirit guide is someone else's definition of an angel. I don't know.
Beckett, we're talking spirit guides, angels, demons, thoughts.
It would be ignorant for me to say they don't exist, right? Like I haven't seen the Northern Lights, but they exist, right? And I haven't seen, to Denny's point, paranormal, but it's one of those old cliches. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know.
Well, isn't that the best part about getting older? I think the longer. Everything's give and take, like you're talking about. If you believe in heaven, there's got to be a hell and all that. You lose stuff when you get older, but you also do gain stuff. And I'm talking whether you're 10 to 15, 15 to 25. Every 5 years, you kind of level up as a person. And that, I think, is the key as the human experience. You want to learn more by the time you make it to the urn or the grave or whatever, the tree trunk. I don't know how people want to die these days. Yeah. Thoughts, guys?
No, there's knowledge and there's experience, and they overlap, but they're two very different things. Like you can be very learned at 20 years old, but when you're 60, you have experience. And like we've talked about, we used to respect elders. That's why, like in old British courts, we call them the bigwigs, because the more like knowledge and the more experience you had, you wore a bigger gray wig. That still happens in British courts, right? The higher your ranking as a judge, the bigger of the gray wig that you wear. And you gain so much knowledge and experience as you get older. And I think that in some ways you kind of see the man like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, but in some ways like it's almost liberating, right? Because you become, I think, a little less concerned about insecurities and things that what people think, and it's liberating in a way that you're like, hey, I've had these experiences, and you get a little bit more humble, I think, not as a rule but in general. And I think that's one of the great things about aging.
You can turn into the 5-year-old and just go into the why world. Why? Well, why do you have to have good and bad to appreciate both? And that would be a question for you, Vicky. They always say you have to have this to appreciate that. But why is that? Why does it have to be built that way?
I almost feel like we're ungrateful beings. So in order to be able to appreciate something that's really good, you have to see how shitty it can actually be.
Yeah, you're right.
But why is it that I'm going to be 5. But why though? Why is it?
Because we're spoiled brats. Remember, if you're going on your Bible, we were enjoying the Garden of Eden. You had one freaking rule. You broke the rule.
Yeah.
And you ruined it for everybody. That's why we can't have nice things.
But wouldn't you argue that the maker of those beings made the beings curious and want to break the rules?
It was kind of
he knew what was happening.
Well, that's what
I want to see how long.
That's where we'll get emails.
It was kind of it was kind of entrapment.
Well, I
In a
feel
way,
that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. Beautiful paradise, beautiful woman. This fruit, Denny's.
Yeah, forbidden.
You created this robot, you programmed the robot, right? And then you're like pissed off that the robot did something. We're like, I created the robot, you know? I'm mad that it did it. That was something that I didn't program in there, you know?
That's why I like Greek mythology, because all the gods are so spiteful and they're constantly trying to screw each other over, and they use humans in their games. They're constantly up to wiles. It's that.
Any recent ghost investigations that you've learned anything new in the last couple months? Because I feel like the more you do stuff, sometimes, not to say jaded's the wrong word, but you kind of get caught up in that tunnel vision and you forget to learn something new. What's something new you've learned being a ghost investigator or just in the paranormal world?
Yeah, it wasn't on an investigation, but I've been delving a lot more into poltergeist and poltergeist activity. And so I was just researching it and found it fascinating, like the things that are in common. And also noticed that for whatever reason, poltergeists like to hang out in the UK because there are way more reported poltergeist investigations over there than there are here in America.
Why is
that's
that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just starting to really, dive into it. So we'll see.
And what
I mean, there's a lot more history there. America's pretty young.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but it depends on what you think the nature of a poltergeist is. So the age of the buildings and how long people have inhabited them, depending on what you think a poltergeist is, would have no effect on the phenomenon at all.
Right.
Just saying.
It's pretty cool stuff. And we all love that movie, by the way. They're here.
And, I didn't appreciate, because I remember seeing the movie, it was like 1982. And, a bunch of friends of mine, we went to the movie and I had a slumber party. So, of course, the first thing we did was unplug and cover my TV in my room. That was the first thing we did.
Okay, Vicky, you're probably circa 82?
It was 82,
You're
so I was 16.
16, okay.
I was 16, right before I got a car. So.
Okay, all right.
Because we got dropped off at the theater, so it was before I got a car.
I love hearing about teenage Vicky. I love the tales of these stories. Please go on.
And so we were in the theater, so everything is like bigger and bolder because, it's much different in the theater. So it gets towards the end in that part where they think, everything's gone. This house is clean. And they relax. She goes to take the bubble bath, and then it all starts up again. And that thing comes and covers the door, and its head extends.
Oh, that part's awesome.
There were 3 of us that went outside the door and peeked through the window to watch that part because it was freaking us out.
Yeah.
But then we managed to go back in towards the end of that scene. So that was the only time we got up out of our seats.
Yeah, I feel like Poltergeist holds up. I know we've talked about it here on the podcast before. We watched it during Halloween time.
Yeah.
That shit's
It
good.
holds up.
very
And
good.
the activity back then I didn't realize because the old definition of poltergeist was always noisy ghost. And I was thinking, well, they really didn't have a lot of noise or whatever. This is when I didn't know anything. Now that I'm delving into it, there were so many. It was actually super accurate with a lot of the details. Like when they're sitting there after they go in the room and everything's spinning around and the investigators are like, and they go and they sit and then something just moves across the table right in front of them. And the objects that fell, from the opening like near the front door, and they were from different time periods because one of the things in poltergeist is you will have things manifest from nowhere.
That's pretty cool.
Like right now, if there was a poltergeist here, there's a chance that a toy will manifest right over there out of nowhere in that corner. It may spin around, it may do something, it may disappear, or it may fall to the floor.
I just hope it's a vintage toy and it's cool looking.
Well, that's why I said that in case something wants to like take a hint.
I love it. I love that you're into poltergeist right now. I'm into lost cities where people feel UFO realms are there. The Antarctica situation. There's some stuff next week. Unfortunately, this week we've had some technical issues. We're not going to play a lot of audio today. It's more conversational. Very 60s tonight. But there's some stuff with the Antarctica, which is really cool. Same with the Sahara Desert. These are such a harsh environments where humans aren't really out there that often. And we are just finding stuff that we didn't know that was out there. And some of the mysteries that are unfolding, I don't know, man. It's making a brother think some different things about Antarctica and the Sahara Desert. Lost cities, Denny's. Thoughts about that?
Well, there's still tribes that are secluded from the the way we live and everything. I don't even think they interact with us whatsoever. They have their own thing, and they still live the same way. I think there's still a lot of that going on, which is kind of cool.
And I was happy to find majority of the governments, wherever those kind of situations occur, they usually let them chill. They don't get involved for the most part. Now, there's always the anomaly. There's always people that are going to get in there and try to fuck them over. But yeah, most of the
some are
time,
cannibalistic too.
that's pretty scary.
Where I think they eat each other, and I think they leave them alone.
Yeah, when we've had these
I would too.
we've had these droughts across the world, and it like uncovers and it uncovers like a lake like recedes or an ocean recedes, and like they learn all this crazy stuff. Have you guys heard about the inner core of the Earth that stops spinning and may go in reverse? Like, talk about something we know nothing about.
Oh, yeah.
The guy said it. He goes, "Yeah, it'll do that, and it's fine. It won't mess up." I go, "Really? It'll do that?" And that's never been brought up before.
What?
We brought it up last Friday on our after the show podcast, and the more we talked about it, we all kind of looked at each other and go, "It's Friday. Let's not freak the people out too much." It's kind of like, bummer, man. The middle of the Earth is... It has poopy cramps.
It stopped, and it's going to go reverse, right?
Potentially, yeah.
But does that slow down the rotation of the Earth? I mean,
I don't want to really kind of be around to find out.
I think they said it doesn't. I mean, this is scientists just guessing, I guess. But they say that it doesn't matter. It's going to do it and then just go back.
Okay.
I guess it just constantly does that.
Gotcha.
I don't know. That's what they say, but are they saying that and then they hang up the call, they go, "All right, they bought that."
I think the scientists do a great job, and I am never... Look, I'm just a dumb shit face from Lake Park. All I'm saying is we can't get shit right in real time a lot of times. We've also gone back, and scientists have said, "Oh yeah, we were wrong about this. Oh yeah, and by the way, we were wrong about this." And NASA a lot of times goes, "Oh yeah, and there's a comet we didn't know about, or an asteroid, or whatever." I just feel like that the human error is always there, and when we act like we know about the past, I'm talking ancient times. Modern day stuff and projecting the future, I get it. But when we act like we know what the fuck happened back in the day with such absolute, I find that very arrogant, and I think
It's totally arrogant.
I think we're gonna find the more we're on this rock, a lot more answers that we go, holy shit, it was that way.
Group of friends that aren't purposely trying to change the story will sometimes have a difficulty keeping the same story. Right? Like that happens in court cases, right? Like the four of us go somewhere, we witness something.
We all have different accounts.
As we get further away from it, our perspectives are a little different. So if that can be off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Archaeology and sure, you have carbon dating and all that, but we still don't know how, you look at the pyramids, and it's one thing to be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing they did the pyramids in ancient Egypt, Vicky. But it's crazy when you talk to scientists, they're like, the way this lines up with the lunar eclipse on whatever, and that's when it starts to go to ancient aliens, and they're like, from what we understand, there's no possible way they knew how to line this up and place Stonehenge here and do the pyramids here. It's hard for us to have the technology today to do it.
But how do we know that it's not just we can't figure it out, but they did? Because maybe they hadn't been dummied down. And they actually could have done it.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's all they did with their time.
They didn't have TikTok.
No, y'all bring up really good points, and I just find that people that act like they know from back then, it just every single year they come back and say, it was a little off. No, we're wrong about that.
Yep.
And I personally believe we are not the first time humans have been a advanced civilization. I think it's happened a few times over.
Totally.
I feel like shit's gone askew or awry.
Could have had some humanoid thing, then the dinosaurs, then us again, then the next one.
I feel like we've had people very smart, to Vicky's point, make some cool shit, or we've had help from above, and then a natural disaster wiped a lot of that stuff away. Because, I mean, after a few thousand years, a lot of that shit's not going to be, you can't recover it.
There's a lot of knowledge loss, for sure, between civilizations. We even have a period of history called the Dark Ages. We don't know shit.
I just don't know if we are as smart as we've ever been. I'm not taking anything away.
If
We're as advanced as we've ever been. I don't know if we're as smart as we've ever been, if that makes sense.
It does, and I don't know if that's true either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to think about.
Yeah.
Well, if you're
It really is. It's a lot to take in. I was just adding on to what you guys were saying. I was tagging it.
I kind of like how you looked up into the sky, kind of. Yeah, man. Let me.
I'm pondering.
You know the sky right to the ceiling here.
Up at the stars.
That said, the best scientists are open for criticism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My
'cause
family's
we're
in,
ever learning.
Yeah, my family's in medicine. They're like, Ryan, it's called practicing medicine for a reason, right? Like
Yeah.
in the 90s, Harvard School of Medicine would recommend something 180 degrees different than they recommend today. Einstein debated his theory of relativity. He came up with it. He could have been cover of Time magazine, pound his chest, brag about it. He had doubts of it through his entire life. Later on, he was proven in theory correct, right? But like even him and like the real scientists, they welcome adversarial poking holes in it, right?
Yeah, oh, I think you're built different too. When you're a scientist like that, I'm sure you hate criticism, but someone like an Einstein, he gets on the horse as soon as he gets knocked off. He doesn't take it. If he does take it personal, that type of personality, they don't stay low too long. They don't get depressed, and if they do get depressed, they don't let it affect their day-to-day, and they continue the work that makes them great.
Yeah, and in that vein, he did not want the atomic bomb with Manhattan Project to go forward. The FBI and Hoover convinced him because of what was going on in Germany, and they helped him like work out problems and stuff, and he got on Time magazine for the nuclear bomb, and he was rip shit. He was rip shit about getting credit for the nuclear bomb because all of those scientists, a lot of them, were like, humans shouldn't have this. They're like, yes, in theory, we know how to do this, but humans should not have this ability. And what they decided as a scientific community, that if multiple governments had it, it was basically what ended up being the Cold War.
Yeah.
Vicky, I guess my question to you would be, what does rip shit mean?
I don't know, but I did learn from Denny's. If you ever ask me a question,
Stare up
I'm
at
going to do the
sun.
Denny's.
What did that? So you paused, you looked up at the ceiling, and what did you say? What was it? Yeah, man,
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take.
You got to think on some stuff like that.
I love it. Well, I think with that intro, it might be time for some
Denny's Random Facts.
Oh, sweet Denny's does a great job. I've learned a lot from all of his factoids. I mean, come on, guys. Bicycle face. You guys know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
He does a great job finding these facts. Vicky, our educator, grades him. If she loves it, she gives the factoid an A. If she hates it, she gives him an F. She's been known.
But not to put any pressure, last week you were freaking awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
But I don't want to put any extra pressure on
geez.
you,
So you
got a lot
but
of A's.
I'm going to
Dude.
be judging you from last week's performance.
Collapsing. from
Don't think about the
inside.
stakes. Don't think about the dozens of people listening.
Think about those tasty steaks. Let's see here. So I kind of teased this on the pre-video, but in the 1960s, the CIA tried to spy on the Kremlin and Russian embassies by turning cats into listening devices. They dubbed the project Acoustic Kitty. It involved implanting cats with batteries, microphones, and antennas, and it cost about $20 million. The first Acoustic Kitty mission was an eavesdrop on two men in a park at a Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. They let the cat out, and it immediately ran away, and they never found it. And it cost $20 million. That was the only mission they ever did.
Cat was out of the bag. For sure.
It turns out cats are extremely food motivated, and they're impossible to control for that type of stuff. And
That's why you have the saying that's like herding kittens.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a complete dud. It cost a lot of money, though. Acoustic Kitty.
Vicky, I mean, we were chuckling, having a good time.
Yeah. A minus.
Okay.
I
It's
like
topical.
that. Yeah,
It's topical.
I like
Baby,
it.
honor roll here.
That's great. Let's see. Check out this guy. So people were just built different back in the day. We've gotten a lot softer. We were kind of talking just technically if
We have got soft.
we just lost Google, nothing else, just the rest of the internet works fine, but Google's gone. This way we can still talk about it. everything's effed. So much stuff's on Google. Nobody can do anything. Some people's entire phone listing, they couldn't call anyone. Nobody knows any of that. If you tried to go and search something, you'd have to go to Jeeves or Bing, and those would be your search engines, which suck. It would mess up everything. And that's one company on the internet.
That's why they have antitrust rumblings going on.
Well, so we're just so soft. People in 1926 were not soft. There was this guy, Peter Freuchen. He got trapped in an avalanche on an expedition. He ended up coming up with the idea, buried under ice, to poop and shape it into a tool and freeze it. And he used it to break out of the ice and then walked back to his camp and realized that he had frostbite and gangrene, and he cut off his own leg with the poop knife to save his life. He used whiskey as antiseptic.
And maybe
It's a real man.
I'm thinking a little crazy here. That could be an entire Netflix series.
Dude, it could be. He lived till 1970. It didn't affect his life whatsoever. He's actually the basis, one of the basis of the most interesting man campaigns, because this guy lived an incredibly interesting life.
Wow.
I would be extremely shocked if poop knife does not get frozen poop knife doesn't get an A. I look.
He was drinking the icicle that was dripping down. He goes, man, I only got a day in here before I die. So he came up with the concept to poop and then shape it and freeze it until he created something sharp enough to chisel out of the ice.
Vicky, I know it's disgusting, but you got to admit, holy shit.
No, I don't have to admit holy shit.
Holy shit.
That is holy shit.
That's amazing.
It's extremely interesting.
If anyone wants to read about
A
it.
minus.
These are the heroes we don't know about.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
There's
Just look
so
up
many of them.
Peter Freuchen.
Peter
Freuchen.
Freuchen.
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that was the poop free.
Did he stab some Nazis with the poop?
He created a shank out of
He
a
broke
shark.
a poop bottle.
What else? Anything else about this guy? Did
So
he come
he
up with
had-
his own jelly roll?
Well, so because it was in the 20s, there's so many things happened. His first wife died of like typhoid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
typhoid fever.
I mean, so he lost her. He married another woman, and they traveled the world. In fact, they took his ashes and they relocated him to the very first excursion he ever went on in Greenland as an homage to him, I guess, when he died. But he died peacefully, lived his full life. Didn't get an infection, nothing crazy. But I think he used alcohol to disinfect.
Let me ask you this right now. If they said, we want at least one season, just one full season on Netflix about this guy, does it work? Do we get the brown light?
Oh, gosh.
I watch it.
I watch it.
Dude, they're guaranteed to have made something on that guy. Just look him up, I bet you.
All right, Vicky.
You lost me at poop dagger.
I get it.
I'm not watching it.
Okay, but grade?
It was an A
Oh,
minus.
A, okay,
yeah.
gotcha. My bad.
I grudgingly gave him an A minus. Yeah.
So, clans of long ago, if they wanted to get rid of somebody in town, everybody just kind of got together and goes, that guy sucks or whatever. When they were out of their house, they would go and burn their house down. And that's where the term arrived, to get fired. So they started using that concept. If a business wanted you out, they take all your stuff outside and burn it. So when you came back from an errand, you knew that you weren't wanted there. It was a way of doing it. So it adopted into our language as getting fired from work. But that's the term is derived from when people want you out of a town, they burn your stuff.
That's great.
Old, mean. It's very mean.
What year are we talking here?
So this goes back to clans. So then it became an expression.
I think I asked him a direct question.
Damn, you sound like you're in class.
Clans
And you
that
do
just
not
sounds
have
old.
the answer right now.
It's back
Man,
when people are nomadic.
the teacher just calls your ass out.
Let's say
It's gotta been medieval.
It was 1096.
You just made that
What?
up.
What
10, I
year?
did. Well, actually, so I think I saw a fact earlier.
1066 was the Battle of Hastings.
10. It was something in that era too. I think Oxford.
1812 was the War of 1812.
But yeah, it just happened along 1096. Oxford was established.
What was the last year of the Civil War? Go. Denny's.
Oh, geez, last I don't even know.
Beckett.
1869.
Is it
Vicky.
1869?
It's 1865. What the shit, guys? Come on.
Really?
Yes, 1865.
All right.
Did I tell you I taught Egypt? Okay, not the Civil War.
She knows that one. Let's see here. So check this out. Have you guys? Who's a cheese lover here? And it's pizza
I like
National
cheese.
Pizza
Come on,
Day.
baby.
It's National Pizza Day, so I think everybody loves cheese.
We love it.
Have you guys ever tried the exotic taste of Casa Marzu?
Mm-mm.
It is described as an extremely ripe gorgonzola cheese. So anyway, this is a Sardinian cheese, and the twist to it is it contains live maggots.
Ugh.
The process involves leaving the cheese uncovered. During that time, flies lay eggs in it, but that's actually the point of it. It speeds up the aging process of the cheese, and in fact, the better it is, the healthier the maggots are, the better the cheese is considered. And if it has dead maggots, it means it's expired cheese. But the funny thing is you have to wear glasses while eating it because the maggots are known to jump up to 5 inches out of the cheese, and they can bounce off your face and into your eyes. So people wear goggles when they eat this Casa Marzu cheese.
My first question to Denny's would be, how dare you?
Yeah.
On National Pizza Day, you're going to come at
It's
us
only one kind of cheese.
with maggot cheese, which is
Maggot
such horse shit. Vicky, I mean, what the shit?
I didn't think he was going to get worse than the poop dagger, but he did get worse.
Maggot
And you know
cheese.
what? You're getting a freaking C-
For
Wow.
cheese
for
minus.
cheese maggots.
I will say, though,
It's out there. It's very expensive. It's very sought after.
it's a factoid that does, titillate the headlines, as they say. Beckett, how awful is that?
It's horrible.
So-
I don't even understand the caviar thing. My friends that get
Ugh.
caviar, I'm like,
God.
what the hell is the point?
So check, and I'm not trying to ruin people's nights here, but I saw a video on the internet where
all right.
somebody grabbed a salmon, right, and just fucking squeezed it, and it shot eggs, and this guy was catching them in his mouth.
oh my god.
Hang down.
It's the freshest you could get them. They were squirting it out of the salmon. I couldn't believe it.
That-
People are bananas.
I just don't want to ever see that video, and there's no way I'm not watching it later.
Well, the guy tossed it, and I go, all right, this is intriguing. And he catches it, and he's flexing. And then the guy appears, and he just squirts it all in his mouth.
I have to ask my friends that like caviar and they do the whole champagne bullshit caviar thing. And I'm like, is you're actually enjoying this? You don't want some French fries? You don't want some capers because they're salty and like whatever? Like the texture doesn't bother you, the idea doesn't bother you. Like this is something you really want to pay $200 for at this bullshit restaurant.
I so have no fancy friends. The closest thing my friends do with caviar is pooped shrimp. That's the closest that my fancy friends do.
I just don't get it.
It's a delicatessen.
I just don't get it. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
You ever you're on the phone or on social media and you're scrolling through, and then somebody you have no intention of seeing something awful, but some son of a biscuit will put the worst post up. Whether it will be, hey, just went to the hospital. Look at my gash. I have 97
my
stitches
God, I've
with
seen
my
them.
organs hanging out of my arm. I'm like, oh, great.
It's like when I got hit by a car and it shows, and you go, oh my God.
I know. It happened to me today. I was doing your story reminds me of that, your maggot shit. I was scrolling along and I go, what is this thing? Is that a piece of roast beef on this lady's leg? And the doctor is going, okay, so the bacteria, they're scraping off this.
no.
It was
Oh, my
awful.
God.
I know. Well, I'm sorry. Denny's
Bird way over the line. That story was far crossing.
I know. Well, if I had to suffer, you all had to suffer.
Here, one last one.
Yeah.
So I like this concept. We're always talking about when you die, what do you want to do with your ashes? Do you want to sprinkle them into the ocean, the first spot that you explored, whatever, something sentimental. Some people, Hunter S. Thompson shot his out of a cannon over Aspen, Colorado. Whatever you want to do, put it in a tree. But this one's kind of cool, too, if you have the money. There's a company that'll take your ashes or the ashes of a loved one and compress it into a diamond that you can wear. It only costs $14,000.
I saw that, and
How
Love it.
cool.
Shine bright like a diamond.
I think it is cool. I look, when it comes to all that stuff, whatever you and your family work out. Now, I don't. If you're fighting, if 9 of the 10 people in your house going, we'd like to bury them or put them in an urn, and you're the only one going, I want to put them in a fucking diamond, and I'm wearing that shit. No, you're wrong. But if you do, if you guys have a plan,
have the foundations, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I would
great
definitely, I
stuff.
would wear that as jewelry for the
great
rest of my
stuff.
life.
Yeah.
Look, it's one of the few things we all have in common. We're all gonna die together.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view, not together, but together in the universal sense, Denny.
We haven't told them about the cult yet.
Yeah.
Hey, drink this.
Surprise! Everyone's been drinking.
Beckett, you go first. Denny's, great job, my man.
Thanks, man.
We loved it. Great job with Ask Vicky. Let's bring our man on the street, Joe Ponton. Let's see what he's got. Did he see anything weird on the beach? Now, this man, let's do his lifetime stats. He has found 2 dead bodies. Did he find a third? Mr. Ponton. We make light of it because it's painful.
How are you, brother?
Good.
Am I loud enough?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Okay. It's been kind of a quiet week. There's not been anything really special out there other than I still have some stuff happening around me. And Vicky and I have to talk still a little bit. We've had a lot of conversations. I was grabbed again this week. But for me, it's ever since I saw that, whatever that fly in the screen, I've just been really weird. I do have a new job, I think, starting next week or week after.
Okay, all right.
Fantastic.
We celebrate our wins here. Now, when you say grab, obviously Beckett goes right to the dick. What is it grabbing?
Grab my left arm.
Left arm.
Yeah.
He's a lefty, southpaw, so that's interesting to know. Drink. No, I say drink. Anytime we say interesting, the chat room drinks. That's the show's buzzword. Kevin, Virginia.
I like this rule.
Yeah, they keep us honest.
That's interesting.
It's hard. You'll be hard pressed to get me to say it. Kevin and Virginia say it all the time, and as soon as they say it, drink, there'll be shot glasses in the chat room, which is pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a weird thing, Vicky. You see something on the beach, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I see. I mean, what we had just this past week, it's been a lot of the so there are people that go out there that come from the rehab facility, and that's where we've seen the beach fuckers and all the other fun stuff. I just don't know what else to call them. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's always great stories with them. I haven't done a lot of interviews the last 2 weeks because I've kind of lost my voice last week, and I also didn't want that negative energy around anybody else. I've tried to kind of isolate myself a little bit because it's every day.
Well, you're being way ambiguous. What is every day?
It's around me. Whatever this energy is, it's around me. It's around me almost all the time. It's around me every day.
Now, Vicky, let me ask you this. Let's say.
And I'm sorry, Vicky, because we did not want to talk about this yet because we don't know everything. Fine. But it is something that has now started to weigh on me, and I'm still sleeping very shitty. So, yeah, let's talk.
Okay, well we can table this for another time.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're already talking about. I'm just not going to analyze anything yet because I have to have more data and things like that. But
I guess my question would be: is it possible sometimes? Self-fulfilling prophecy could happen too if you are going through a negative, and I'm not saying Ponton is, but
right.
If you have a series of events where it puts you into a negative mind frame, that you are more looking forward or subconsciously even coming in, and it may not be what you think.
Right.
It could be other things.
And honestly, I'm not saying this is the situation, but if a person gets scared and something happens to them, then they can already have in their mindset that there's something around them. And because they were scared initially, then it could cause it to feel negative. Not saying that that's what's happening here.
Yeah, sure.
But the naysayer, as you always say, would say that is definitely something that could be happening. And that's why we investigate things like this.
Yeah, we need the naysayers, by the way.
Yeah.
As annoying as they may be. With anytime someone says you're lying or I don't believe you, it can be a little thorn in your side. But you really do need that. You can't just let people kind of go off on a microphone and not hold them somewhat accountable. It just don't work that way. So that's what this whole podcast really is about, is just talking about ideas and theories. And, even with my own stuff, I'm talking about what I think the universe could be. That's just my own theory.
Right.
I don't think I'm right by any means. And I'm flexible to think of changing or just kind of having that thought process change. And that's what I think this podcast is about. But I don't want to blow up anyone's spot.
No. You
You and Vicky can talk off the air, and whatever you guys are comfortable with talking about, we can do that.
One of the things that I haven't spoken about that happened about a month and a half ago is pretty cool. We're down at Beach Access 32. It's right just north of Marcinski Park. and we were all walking. There was 4 of us. We were walking back up towards the staircase, and I said, "Wait a second. I don't think we should go up right now. There's something weird about to happen up there." And I'm not joking. We were on step number 2. A car comes screeching to a halt. Someone jumps out of the passenger seat, takes off. They spin around. They start heading back south to Marcinski. And then cops come shooting down the street. And they looked at me, the other 3 people, and went, "What in the fuck was that?" And I said, "I just felt it. I knew something was about to happen up there." And it was silent, dead silent. It just one of that energy feel, and everybody has that. That happens quite often at the beach because, you're kind of by yourself. It's quiet. There's whatever comes around you, whatever's happening, you're kind of more in tune to your surroundings.
And I did discover in conversations that I definitely have said that he's an empath. So he definitely feels, he can sense energy. Like if all of a sudden our energy in here shifts, he's going to pick up on it. And that's a very difficult gift to have because you're picking up on all these things that are flying at you. And one of the reasons I'm not talking too much about is because I got a visual of what I think is involved, and I have to keep an open mind because once I get a visual, I literally have to clear it out of my mind and start from square one to find proof of what my visual is.
All right, well, a lot to delve into. To be continued, as they say. Mr. Ponton, thank you very much.
Certainly, guys.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about the podcast. I talked to my friends, and I was like, listen, I would have these conversations with all the people we do the podcast with without microphones.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I mean,
like we would sit around and talk about this stuff because, we talk about like what people don't talk about, how you started the podcast. And no one talks about things on like a mainstream media or news websites. No one talks about this kind of fringe stuff. And sometimes fringe stuff becomes further out. Sometimes fringe stuff comes into the mainstream. And I think it's a great, I'm biased, obviously. It's a great service. It's a great service to talk about things that people talk about with their friends, and when you're having a beer and you're sitting outside, like it's interesting.
Well, it's funny what mainstream's becoming. And mainstream, you talk about mainstream, you think about broadcast TV, and that shit's kind of going. That is going to the dinosaur garden. Social media and the internet and YouTube. That really is where the world is going, and there, to defend the communities that do the same stuff we do. There's a lot of paranormal stuff out there. There's a lot of alien stuff out there. I wish I could say we were unique, but that would be very disingenuous and not true. I respect a lot of people out there that are talking about this stuff, but it is more of the internet culture.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it on the mainstream stuff. If I was to go deep into a lot of this stuff on KVJ, which times I do, I would be told, no, you're fucking going too. It's too weird, man.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing. I think humans are asking more questions, and I do think the internet's helped that. Mm-hmm. Everyone's talking across the globe. I'm always downing the internet and bagging on it, and I'm downing on the shit that I don't like, the toxic. Mm-hmm. Awful shit where it divides people.
Right.
It's a beautiful, awesome tool when it comes to connecting and learning. All of that's there.
Right.
But it's like anything.
Yeah.
I like to drink, but drinking's also terrible. Drinking's fun.
It's things you got to pay it back. There's a lot of love with the dog that we talked about, but there's a lot of grief because it doesn't have the same lifespan. And I think it's a net positive with the dog. It's interesting. And yeah, I think it's great that we talk about things that they don't talk on mainstream.
Or whoever, they all have a storyline going on in their life, and we always forget that. Whether they're an asshole to us or maybe they just lost somebody. I know that sounds very cliche and cheesy, but everyone does have a storyline going on. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's able to handle shit as good as you or as bad as you.
That's true.
And it's one of those things, I feel like if people were just more conscious of going, all right, they said that, but I'll fucking let it slide and not hold the grudge. We're in that time of that mic drop. I'm gonna try you. I'm gonna try you back, and it's a lot of division.
Yeah.
I personally, that's not what I want in my heart and soul.
Well, that's what makes this work, because nobody here gets butt hurt over somebody else's theory. Denny's is not all offended that you and I believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it work. Nobody here. We're all actually listening to learn instead of listening to respond.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that's where the real learning comes, when you actually listen to people and think about what they're saying. And if it changes or makes you, alter your beliefs a little bit, that's exactly what you should do.
Most people just want someone to listen to them. They don't even want advice. I'm not saying people don't want advice, because they do at times, but most people want to rant and vent, and then you just go, man, that's fucking bullshit, man. How dare they?
Screw them, man.
Yeah, exactly. In a way that's not condescending and not you're not cheapening the experience. You're really listening.
Yeah, for sure. Some people just want the vent.
I've been guilty of it, trying to fix problems. When people come to me, I always want to, this is what we got to do. That gets me into more problems. Now, there's times where, you can put your own whimsy and opinion in there and make things work. That's a small percentage.
Yeah. That's my secret sauce with my clients, is people just want to be heard. And
they really do.
They just want to be heard. And that's been my problem one of my problems in relationships is I'm a very black and white logical thinker. And I've had, when I'm dating and have a serious girlfriend, where they just say things and I'm like, well, what if we do this? Why don't we do this? And I'm, it's coming from a good place, but they're like, Ryan, I just want you to listen and give me a hug.
Yes.
Like, I don't want, and so in my mind, I'm like, all right, I can save this for tomorrow, right? Because I think you got to have action. You can't just wallow in it.
Yeah.
But so I try to find like the compromise or the win-win, where I'm like, all right, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear the person out. I'm going to hug you, and I'm going to be there for you.
Yes.
All right? That's the balance.
Yes, many experiences. Definitely fucking it up and not doing it right. Yes. I hear you. I drink to that, my friend.
Salute.
Well, y'all, thank you for listening to the podcast. We're going to go ahead and end it early. Me and Denny's, and I'm sure you guys have had a long day. We had a real long week. We're going to go ahead and end it a little early tonight. We had some technical difficulties. We're not going to be able to play that, but I could use some more. If you're a songwriter, send me my shit. How hard would it be to play Cheese Revolution? Do you have that?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Anything to promote, Vicky?
It's not really a promotion. We are currently fostering a little Boston, purebred Boston that was born with spina bifida. And he is from the Humane Society of North Miami. And he just had one of his back limbs removed.
Damn.
Yesterday. So if you go on the Facebook page for the Humane Society of North Miami, there is a little video. His name is Wilbur. And the Humane Society is looking for donations because his surgery was very costly. Because it didn't happen actually at the Humane Society. They had to send him out. And he also needs money for a little wheelchair.
Oh,
but go check out the video. He is the absolute cutest dog ever.
Can we post a link?
Yeah.
I'll definitely
on.
donate to that.
Yeah.
And are you looking for someone to adopt Wilbur?
Yes, he's a very special dog, so they have to meet this is a dog who is going to have long-term care, as far as he is going to wear diapers for the rest of his life because he is incontinent. But he is so sweet. I personally think he's like the perfect pet for like an older person who wants a companion but doesn't necessarily want to walk a dog.
Right.
So I think there is somebody out there that could be that parent for him for sure.
Okay.
I love it. Denny's, if you can't find that, it's all good. No worries. Want to thank the people, the chat room. Thank you guys, everybody in the chat room. We have a Metal Beard Dan. Always got some technical difficulties. You're right. And Metal Beard Dan, you are always a dick face. Okay, guys?
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
We love you all.
Bigfoot is real.
What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town. They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well, you should be. 'Cause